Hey, I'm Jeff, the junk seller, and this presentation is going to be about what a typical weekend can look like for a picker. On Friday, it was the 14th of March. On Friday, I went to a storage unit auction at the facility where I have my storage units, and I bid a unit. It was a 10 by 20. It was full of a bunch of garden stuff. I'll be showing that in the April. Canton First Monday's presentation that I make, a bunch of the stuff that I get out of that. But anyway, I go to this auction and I win a unit for $300. And a buddy of mine shows up. He buys a unit for $100. He thinks he's going to pay with a debit card, but the auction place needs cash. So I loan him $100 cash. And this is relevant because it becomes part of a little tangent story that I'm going to tell that at the end of this. But he ends up loading his unit up. I went and paid rent for my unit until the end of the month, intending to give up that unit at the end of the month. Had a bunch of garden stuff, a bunch of iron stuff. I wound up finding some pretty good stuff in there. But and I'll make a presentation about that later as well. But I go to this auction and I start going through it. I loaded the van with a whole bunch of low value stuff. Dollar stuff, stuff for peasant markets. What I call peasant markets, where most of the people are don't have a lot of discretionary money. So I get all this stuff put together, and I know a kid up in Oklahoma, and I'm going to go up there and go to a couple of sales or go to a couple of markets with him and shop and auction. So on Friday at about noon, I pay for this unit, and by 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon, I've got it loaded up with junk. Well, I go to the house, I go to sleep, and I wake up like 4 o'clock in the morning to drive to Ardmore. I'm going to a sale up there. It is called Flee to Fun, and it's in Ardmore, Oklahoma. It's a small market. It's an early market. We were setting up in the dark, and it was over by about 11:30. Not a lot of people with a lot of money. Actually, not a lot of people at all. But I did make a couple of pretty good sales. There was a young man and his father that came through. They had some money. Sold about $200 worth of stuff. Not much. Most everything that I sold was junk out of this storage unit that I bought on Friday, and well, about half of it was. So I pack up. I go. I sleep in my van over at my buddy's house, and we get up early in the morning. The Fleet of Fun market, even though it's a small market, the management there, and it's new, the management there was great. I don't think that it'd ever be a big market, but I'm going to go there again this month in April after the Canton First Mondays. I'm going to do the whole routine again. But we go to sleep. We got to get up at like 4 o'clock in the morning and head to Sulphur, Oklahoma, to go to dog trade. That's a historic market in Oklahoma. I think it was founded in 1953 or so. Um, it's a market that I went to probably 7 years ago. I started going to that market, but I haven't been for a couple of years now. It was one of the only, there were only two Sunday markets in Oklahoma, one in Ponca City and this one in Sulphur. And that market's an early morning market. Everybody's shopping by flashlights. In fact, here's some video of that I took. And that is again, that's a peasant market. I got cussed out there. I had a guy that really wanted that copper quarter. He was going to buy it for his grandson. Made the announcement right there in front of his grandson, and then asked how much it was. And when I told him $225, I thought he was going to have a stroke. But again, I sold maybe $200 worth of stuff at that market. I didn't. I made the rounds. I tried to buy something. I couldn't find anything to buy, but we wound up going to a market in Wilson, Oklahoma, that Sunday afternoon. After we finished that dog trade, the Wilson market auction starts at like 1 o'clock, and I went there. I spent $52.50. I got a handful of stuff, and I think that I think that that was a pretty good auction. I really want to go again sometime when I'm in I don't know. I just wasn't in a positive mood about buying. I did buy some stuff, but you know, sometimes you show up and you're just more jazzed about it. But I really didn't have a good time at Sulphur, and I think that affected me a little bit. I was tired and hungry, and that's never a good combination for me for doing good business. I get grumpy and I get to where I resist everything. But those were a couple of markets. I mean, that's how I spent that weekend. Now, when I do it again this month, we are adding two auctions that happen in Pauls Valley on Saturday, and then going to the Sunday market in Wilson. But this is a rundown of the items that I picked up at that Wilson auction. Milk glass. Some of this stuff is doing really well. This is Cherokee pottery. I should be able to get something for that. It's sort of collectible. This is a compact, or not a compact, but a cigarette case. Deco. I think that I'll do well with that one too. The cap guns, I wasn't able to sell those at this market, but I should be able to get off of those soon enough. The Hot Wheel case here, this was something of a disappointment. It wasn't really as old as I thought it was when I bid it. This cake plate, I thought that I was going to get a little more for it. I ended up getting $30 out of it, which made me happy. But this bottle, a lot of people got a lot of attention, but just no buyers. Everybody thought that it should be $5 or $10, but I'll get more for that. And I got 30 out of this sewing vase here. So it was a pretty good buy. This is a storage unit that I bought this morning. The reason that I bought this, I went to a storage unit auction at the facility where I rent, and I paid $300 on this unit. I gotten a little bit of a preview yesterday, and I just saw enough little $20 bills in this metal stuff. You know, it's garden season, and out at Canton, I'm going to be able to turn this stuff pretty quickly to get my money back. I decided I could go $450 on this unit. Luckily, I only had to pay $3. There's going to be a lot of trash. I'm going to be here trashing out the unit today. I forgot to take a video of it before I started unloading it, but I found a toolbox, a great looking American made vise, I believe that is, and a roller toolboxes and some other pretty cool looking stuff back there. From what I understand, this unit had been paid for 7 years, but I'm going to end up paying rent on this for at least a month to try to get it liquidated down. I'm in the process of trashing it out today, and I'll take a little bit of video at the end of the day to show how much of it I've resolved by taking to the garbage can. So I actually spent a couple of hours in this unit tearing stuff apart. I got this amount of garbage that gets disposed of, except for the chickens. I'll sell those to my friends Kim and Andy. Probably get $20 for the group of them. I got all that, and these couple of boxes go in the garbage. But this is how much stuff I've put in the van from that. The 2 tables are new. I'm going to top it off with some stuff from one of my other units and go to a market that I've never been to in Ardmore, Oklahoma tomorrow, and then Sulphur the day after, and try to sell a bunch of this low-end stuff. But that's as far as I'm going to get until I return on Monday. Yeah, the tangent that I was gonna talk about related to this little trip was the $100 that I loaned my buddy to purchase that unit at the storage unit auction. He was kind of anxious to get it back to me, and I had promised to stop by his place on the way back from Oklahoma, but it was just too late and I was too tired, so I didn't go there on Sunday night, and he contacted me Monday morning. We made plans for me to go out there on Thursday, and to where he lives in Caddo Mills, Texas, and there's a little shop that I like to go into every once in a while. I'm able to make a pretty good pick there, and I was gonna make the pick. I was gonna go there, shop that little mall, and pick up the money from him when we go to lunch. Well, we arranged for that to happen on a Thursday, and on the way out there, I see an estate sale sign on the way to Greenville, and I go in there. I get in there, and a fella's got he's got a handful of silver spoons wrapped in fabric, and he's pulling them out and putting them back in and examining them closely, and he's clutching them like a miser, like his life depended on whether or not he hung on to them. So I figured they were silver, and that I was just a few minutes late in getting the silver. So I left. Um, I shopped the rest of the sale, and I came back just to see if the spoons were there. When I did, I looked at some other silver plate that was there. I thought it was a silver plate. Hey, and I picked up a plate. It was a 10-inch plate, and flip it over, and it said sterling on it. I mean, just plain as day, marked $10. It was I think 384 grams. I turned it in for $320. I spent about $60 at that sale. I got some other plate that was questionable. I couldn't find hallmarks on it, and I figured that I was getting free play, being that for $10 I was getting this sterling plate. So I went ahead and I spent a little money there, and my buddy he tells me a couple of weeks later that he ran into a guy that told him about a friend of his that was at a estate sale in Greenville and scored some silver, and a guy came along with the loop, and he got the silver just before that guy got there, and that guy that had the loop happened to be me. They described me, and he was so happy that he beat me out of like $300 worth of silver, and it was kind of funny because that's about what I got too. But there's just something everywhere. This guy, I don't even think he was carrying a loop on him, and he scored at this estate sale, and I hadn't planned on being there. I didn't even know the sale was going on. I just saw the sign, and I had a feeling about it. It's not very often that I turn around and I go back to a sale. I had my day already planned, but I stopped at that estate sale and got bit by the silver bug. After that, I started shopping a lot more sales, and I'm hoping that I continue with the lucky streak. But I hope that you check out some of my other videos. If you've enjoyed this one, please give it a like, and see some of my other content. If you enjoy that as well, please subscribe. But thank you for viewing.